All right. Hello and welcome, everyone. Okay, Gigi, am I live? I think I'm live. All right. I'm assuming that I'm live. So, Gigi, tell me if I am not live. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Americano Update. I am coming to you live from Davao. And my name is Andres Chang. It is just a little bit after 4 p.m. Sunday, 16 January 2022. And it is a little bit after midnight, California. Okay, we're going to start with some breaking news. And this is actually happening as I am talking about it. So there was a volcano that erupted in the Pacific Ocean near the island of Tonga, and it caused massive flooding in Tonga. And now there is a tsunami warning for the entire west coast of the United States. And I'm reading conflicting reports that it is a warning. Now there's no longer a warning, but remain cautious. So yeah, that's what's happening right now as we speak. All right. $1 will give you 51 pesos. And let's go straight to the news. It has been 1 month since Typhoon Odette or Typhoon Riot hit the Philippines, the central part of the Philippines. The Filipina Pea has done a terrific video. The Filipina Pea is a YouTuber here in the Philippines, and she has helped an elderly couple rebuild their home. And I'll put up a link to that video in the description, or rather, Gigi will do that. Shout out to Gigi. Thank you so much, Gigi. I cannot do this channel without you. And but there is still a lot more recovery that needs to be done. So if you can donate, please, to the Red Cross or to another charity, or if you can get in touch with me. I've been trying to, and other YouTubers, foreigners and locals here in the Philippines, we've been trying to organize relief efforts, private relief efforts, etc. A lot of communities are still devastated. 400 lives were lost. There are still a lot of places without power, without electricity, without communication, without water. And the Filipina Pea did help that couple, but there are still a lot of other people that need help. So to our international audience, to the Kupabayan, the OFWs, the entire Philippines diaspora, and everyone all over the world, please help us out. There are still people affected by the typhoon. I'll say it again, 400 people have lost their lives. Entire communities have been destroyed. Homes have been crushed. Lots of communities. I know I keep repeating myself, but I just want to drive home the point that there's a lot of work that still needs to be done. I'm having some technical issues right now of my own. Okay, I think that took care of that. Okay, good. Yeah, that's working. All right. Okay, so please remember, the Philippines has still not yet recovered from Typhoon Odette, Typhoon Rai. Please donate to the Red Cross Philippines, Red Cross International. Get in touch with me. And if you can do your own thing, like what the Filipina Pea did, if you can do your own thing, help one couple at a time, go for it. If you go on my channel, you'll see I interviewed a survivor. He was a foreigner, and he was my friend. And you can see that interview on my channel on Americano Update. Okay. All right. So originally, I had wanted to do this channel as a news channel, and I wanted to start off at the beginning of the year as kind of year of 2021 in review, to review 2021. And so really, if you really want to review 2021, I think the best place to start is with the General Strike Summit, which was a big 3-day event on Revolutionary Blackout. I'm going to put a link in the description to Filipina Pea's relief mission. And I'm also going to put a link in the description. We will put a link to the description to the General Strike Summit on Revolutionary Blackout. This was a big 3-day event, and it's just solid policy for the Americans living here in the Philippines, and for my American audience. This is, if you got a lot of time on your hands, or if you want to just listen to some very serious discussion on possible general strike in the United States, then this is a great place to start. And let me say, right now it's very possible that we are already are in a general strike in the United States. You're hearing about the Great Resignation. People are quitting. People are not going back to work. People are going on strike. And so what's happening in the United States is that people are fed up with not making enough money, not having enough health care, not having, or education being too expensive and healthcare being too expensive. It's really frustrating because, and I'll talk about this some more later in this video. There's a lot more health care. Everybody has health insurance in Canada, England, France, Germany, Scandinavia, Japan, and Taiwan. And that's not even a complete list. And homelessness is not as big of a problem in those countries as it is in the United States. And I'll talk about that a little bit some more in this video. But if you to review 2021, it's the beginning of it's first month of 2022. I was going to do a review of 2021, but then Odette happened, so my first video was about was with Rob, the Odette survivor. Go to my channel, check that out. And but to review 2021, I would say watch the General Strike Summit. It's very long. It's many videos. It's hours and hours long. It was a 3-day event. It was just incredible. I highly recommend it to everyone. And the other thing that I want to, excuse me, to recommend to review 2021 is Chris Hedges. Now, if you want to review Chris Hedges, I'll put a link to it. We'll put a link to it in the description. He's my favorite writer, and he's one of the most important intellectuals in the United States right now, public intellectuals. You can see now on the screen the best of Chris Hedges' columns on Scheerpost. Scheerpost is a website where Chris Hedges' columns, they come on not regularly, every 2 weeks. maybe, but it's not that regular. But I'll put a link. We will put a link to the description, in the description, to his columns. If you want some good, solid reading that will challenge you intellectually and will help you review the year 2021 that we just got through, definitely check out Chris Hedges on Scheerpost. Really, anything that Chris Hedges writes or does, you got to get on that. Get on that. And actually, I'm also going to put on, I won't talk about it on this show, this episode, but Chris Hedges also has his own show on RT. It's all called On Contact, and it's twice a week. And you should check out that TV show as well. You can check it out on YouTube. You can check it out on RT America. And I'll put a link to the description. I'll put a link to his show. We will put a link to that show in the description. There you can see it on the screen, On Contact with Chris Hedges. Check it out. It's on RT. And I think we have a graphic for it too. Is the graphic available, Gigi? If not, we can just go on. So, okay, so the graphic is not available, but that's fine. We'll put a link to the TV show in the description. So just to review, if you want to review 2021, I know it's already halfway through the first month of 2022, but if you want to review 2021, definitely check out the General Strike Summit. I'll put a link. We'll put a link to it on the description. Definitely check out the Best of Chris Hedges, which will also put a link to the best of his columns in the description. And we'll also put a link to his show On Contact with Chris Hedges. So this year, there it is. Bam, there's the graphic. Gigi, you're wonderful. So, yeah, that show is on twice a week. Definitely catch it on YouTube if you don't happen to catch it on television on RT. Okay. And also, now let's move on to the next story that I wanted to talk about. We have already had 1 year of President Biden. Biden has been president for 1 year, and I am not a mental health professional, but in my opinion, the president is in a kind of state of mental decline or dementia, or there is he has something, in part because of his age. I don't think he has the mental capacity to be president of the United States. Now, some people might hear that and they might automatically think, "Oh, Andres, you're a Trumper, you're a Trumpista," and I'm not a Trumpista. I also think that Donald Trump, and again, I am not a mental health professional. I also think that excuse me, that Donald Trump is also in some kind of mental health decline, some kind of dementia, and there's plenty of evidence all over the internet. There are plenty of videos you have showing that maybe these two gentlemen that really their enablers are abusing them. I mean, that this is elder abuse. Jimmy Dore said that, or somebody else said that. But I mean, there's Joe Biden falling up the stairs to Air Force One. There's Donald Trump saying he had the largest inauguration crowd in history when clearly he didn't. I mean, but more importantly, what we have to understand is that Biden has only been president for 1 year. Okay. Do we have health care? No. Are the wars over? No. Now, Trump was president for 4 years. Okay. Did we get health care? No. Did he end the wars? No. And before him, Obama was president for 8 years. Did we get health care? No. Okay. Obamacare does not cover everybody, even though, again, I already said it before, everyone has healthcare in Canada and England and France and Germany and Scandinavia and Japan and Taiwan. And that's not even a complete list. Okay. And before Obama, the second Bush was president. Did we get healthcare? No. And he started these wars. Okay. Well, actually, he didn't. Technically, he didn't start the wars, but he did. He certainly increased them. Okay. Or expanded them. Okay. And before he was president for 8 years, Bill Clinton was president for 8 years. Did we get health care? No. And did Bill Clinton bomb Iraq? Yes, he did. There were the no-fly zones, which, if you suffice to say, he did bomb Iraq, which was a continuation of the wars that the first President Bush started, and he started the no-fly zones after the war ended, but then he started the no-fly zones, which continued the war. So did the first Bush give us health care? No. Did he give us war? Yes. So let's just keep this in mind, okay? Biden has only been president for 1 year, okay? We don't have health care. The wars continue, okay? It's the same thing with Trump. No health care, and the wars continue. The same thing with Obama. No health care for everybody, and the wars continue. The same thing with Bush before that. The wars continue. We don't have health care. The same thing with Clinton. The wars continue. We do not have health care. The same thing with the first Bush, war, and no health care. So we're talking about over 20 years, over almost 30 years of war and no health care. So, and now I'm having issues again here. Okay, it looks like, okay, good. I'm good. Excuse me. And so we have to keep that in mind. All right. So whoever's in the White House, Republican or Democrat, for the last 30 years, war and no health care. And even if you go back further, under 8 years of Ronald Reagan, did all Americans have health care? No. And under Jimmy Carter, which coincidentally, the most recent episode of On Contact with Chris Hedges is about Jimmy Carter. Did we get health care for everybody? No. And before Carter, the president was Ford. And did we have health care for everybody? No. And before Ford, the president was Nixon. Did we get health care for everybody? No. And before Nixon, the president, I'm going far way back, but there's a point. And the president before Nixon was Johnson. And did we have health care? No. Now, before Johnson, the president was Kennedy. Kennedy was sadly assassinated, so we'll never, that's one of history's what ifs. What if Kennedy had lived? What if Lincoln had lived? But while we were bombing Vietnam, the Europeans were already giving all of their people health care. And while we were bombing Vietnam, you know what Japan was doing? They were building the world's first high-speed rail. Okay? So this idea that the Democrats are the lesser of two evils, you know, I don't know who said this, but the lesser of two evils is still evil. And look, it's not a right left thing. It's not a Republican Democrat thing. It is the fact that we're still at war, and that we're still we still don't have health care. Okay, so that's so that's what I wanted to say about Biden. So and we've got this graphic up, which we'll talk about later, which is a good graphic because well, I'll talk about it later. But so that's what I wanted to say about President Biden. Now, let's move on to the next story, which is about the January 6th riots, or the 6th January riots. And that's when, a bunch of Trump supporters and a bunch of rightists and a bunch of, I guess they were Nazis and Confederates and QAnoners. Well, whoever they were Trump supporters. That's a fact. Okay. Now, it was very disorganized. It was a riot. The people there, even who participated, they will even tell you, yeah, we were trying to overturn the election of Joe Biden. So even they themselves will say that they were attempting a coup. But as Chris Hedges has pointed out previously, this was too disorganized to be a coup. So maybe you could call it an attempted coup by a bunch of incompetent people who didn't know what they were doing. It was a riot, that's for sure. They did commit crimes, breaking and entering. People have been sent to jail, but no one has been found guilty of a coup or treason or anything like that. You just think about it for a little bit. We've had a year to kind of look back and remember. Really, they were just a bunch of angry people who were very disorganized, and they didn't have support from law enforcement. They didn't have support from the military. So it's important to remember that. It was really a riot, not really a coup attempt. And if it was a coup attempt, it was a very poor one, very botched one. They really didn't even have a plan. I don't think they had a plan. I think they just went in there thinking, oh, we're going to take over the government. Okay, well, what are you going to do after you take over the government? And then they didn't really have a plan. But it has to be said that this happened from Trump supporters. This did not happen from Black Lives Matter. Okay? Let's make that perfectly clear. Okay? Black Lives Matter and Democrats, they did not do that riot on January 6th. Okay? On 6th January. It was clearly done by Trump supporters and Republicans, and the people who enabled them by not telling them to stop. Trump could have told them, hey guys, I lost. I know you support me. I appreciate your support, but stop doing what you're doing. He didn't. Okay. And again, this gets back to the whole nonsense of, oh, Republicans are just as bad as Democrats, left is just as bad as right, blah, 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 blah. No. It's not about that. It's about people who really, as Marianne Williamson pointed out in a recent interview, it's really about people who have power and don't have power. Because those people on January 6th, as wrong as their actions were, which they were wrong, What was right was that they were angry. A lot of them, and this came out later in the news, had economic problems, had financial problems. If everybody in this country had healthcare, do you think those Nazis would be so angry that they would storm the Capitol building? If all of them had a job that paid them enough money to take care of their children, you think they would have done that? And I'm not the first person to say that. Jimmy Dore actually said that on one of his shows. He said, those people who, if they all had healthcare, would they have done that? And that's what this is really about. And this kind of gets back to the general strike that I talked about earlier. I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but we already are in a kind of general strike, in an unorganized, organic, natural general strike, because people are tired of not having health care, tired of their job being very unpleasant, tired of, not on top of it being unpleasant, it doesn't even pay them enough. And they're realizing, you know what, forget this. I might as well be poor than waste my life not making enough money at this other job somewhere else. And I've got allergies. Sorry. Okay. Anyway, so that's that's that. Those are my thoughts on a year since the 6th January riots, and that's what we have to that's what we have to think about. Instead of demonizing each other and fighting each other, you're a Democrat, I don't like you. You're a Republican, I don't like you. I'm on this team, I'm on that team. No. We're all on the same team, and that is the team. Not all of us, but we all should be on the same team, and that team should be no more wars and healthcare for everybody. That's what it should be. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next story, which I want to talk about here. See if we can see this. I should have. I'm going to go low tech. Sorry, Gigi, but no graphic instead. Here we go. How's this for the graphic? What do you think, Gigi? Is that a good graphic? Okay, so this is Our Class by Chris Hedges, and I don't know. Maybe I'll do this every week. I'll talk about a different book. So I just read this book, and it's called Our Class, and it's by Chris Hedges. And again, I'm mentioning Chris Hedges. Chris Hedges is my favorite author. And in that book, he talks about his experience teaching college courses in prison. Chris Hedges wears many hats. One of them is that he's a college professor, and he's teaching college courses in prison. And it's a terrific book. You'll read it very quickly. All of my American viewers here in the Philippines, if you want to borrow my copy, you can go ahead and borrow my copy. And my wife, who's in Poland, hi Wapa, I hope you're watching. You better be. I know she's mad at me right now because I bought another book. I buy so many books, but I read them. I actually read them. Okay, I don't just put them on my bookshelf so people think I'm intelligent. I actually read these books that I write, that I buy, and so that's another one that's definitely going on my shelf. And if to my audience in the United States, that's the next book you got to buy. Our Class by Chris Hedges. Definitely pick that up. Definitely read it. Okay. All right, so moving on to our next story. By the way, we're moving along pretty quickly, so please tell me in the comments section if I'm talking too quickly. Let me know, and or if there's a news story that you want me to cover, please let me know. Please do that. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And just quickly to all my viewers, thank you very much. To all my subscribers, thank you very much. Please. Subscribe, like, comment, share, turn on the bell notifications. I really hope this channel grows because we need more independent media voices. And Americans know that. In fact, there was a story recently how CNN's ratings had plummeted. And everybody says this, but I guess it's true. This is the future. The future is everybody getting their own website, their own YouTube channel. Everybody, Andy Warhol said it. Everybody's going to have their own 15 minutes of fame, and but not just that, but we can use it for good, which is. I hope I'm doing that. I hope I'm contributing positively to the world with this channel. Okay, now. There was recently there was a great edition of Bad Faith podcast, the Bad Faith podcast. It's also on YouTube. It's with there it is. We got the graphic up there. We're gonna put a link to that episode in the description. This was terrific. It was Kshama Sawant, a socialist politician in the United States. She's elected to office, and she's talking with the graphic there has Marianne Williamson on it. Marianne Williamson is the you see the graphic, you see a large picture of one person, and then you see the heads of three people. The large person, that's Marianne Williamson. Even though she is not in the conversation, they do talk about Marianne Williamson. And Briahna Joy Gray, she's the person in the middle. This is her podcast. It's also on YouTube. The three of them, Briahna Joy Gray, Chris Hedges, he's on top. He's the author of Our Class, which I just showed you the book of. And then and Kshama Sawant, she's the one on the bottom. They have this terrific conversation. Again, we'll put a link in the description where they talk about what you can actually do. And those of us in the United States, I try to hammer home the point, and so does Chris Hedges, that direct action, protests like Black Lives Matter. Again, it was not Black Lives Matter who did the riots on January 6th. It was not Antifa who did the riots on January 6th. Okay, those were Trump supporters. And I'm not saying that to demonize anybody. I'm just stating what the facts are. Okay, now we need protests like Black Lives Matter. We need all these unions that are forming, all these people who are going on strike. I mentioned earlier the Great Recession, how a lot of people are quitting their jobs, going on strike, not returning to their jobs. And so that is a great conversation that they're having. So I highly recommend that everybody check out that episode. I'll put a link. Gonna put lots of links. I'm gonna put lots of links for all of you, because Gigi and I, we love all of you. We really do. And that's why we're giving you lots of links in the description, lots of stuff to watch, to listen to, and lots of stuff to read as well. Excuse me. I'm not a bad person because I use plastic water bottles. In fact, I've got some of the furniture in, one piece of furniture in my apartment is made from recycled plastic material. Okay, so please don't judge me. Let's move on. Okay, there's a YouTube channel called Second Thought. And in this particular episode, they talk about socialism in America and how it never really took off. And there's the graphic. We'll put a link to that particular episode. It's their most recent episode. We'll put a link in the description. Look, you guys, this is a terrific episode. This episode is not just about socialism in America. It's about socialism, or excuse me, it's about the lack of socialism in America, about how the American left is not left compared to the other rich democracies in the world. And I'll explain why in a second. And this video also is a terrific introduction to American politics. So if you like, so first of all, if you're a political junkie like myself, you'll like this video. If you're just getting into politics, you'll like this video. If you want to know about American politics and get a good introduction, this is a terrific video. So really summarizing very quickly, what's the difference between America and Canada, England, France, Germany? So let's put on one side Canada, England, France, Germany, Canada, England, France, Germany, Scandinavia, Japan, and Taiwan. And those are not even that's not even a complete list. But see, in those countries, their right parties or conservative parties, at least in their explicit rhetoric, would be considered left in America, or leftist, or liberal. Okay, so what I'm basically saying is that America is on the right, and all those other countries I mentioned, which is not even a complete list, are on the left. Specifically, in those countries, it's very difficult to buy a gun. In America, very easy to buy a gun. There's a mass shooting almost every day in America. And in those countries, they look at us and they're like, why do you guys shoot each other so much? In those countries, everybody has health insurance. Okay? Everybody has health insurance. In America, not everybody has health insurance. You couldn't get away with that in those countries. And I know this for a fact, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? I lived in Taiwan for over 4 years, and I learned a little bit of the language while I was there. There is almost no violence in Taiwan. Taiwan's unique. It's a lot like Japan that way. There's almost no violence. There's almost no crime of any kind. There's almost no crime of any kind, especially street crime. Everybody has healthcare. Even the foreigners who are not covered by the National Health Insurance Program in Taiwan, we can afford to go to the emergency room. Okay? Think about that, especially to my American viewers. To my American viewers, let me tell you something. This is a true story. This happened to me in Taiwan. I was getting sick. I was sick one day. This is just anecdotal, but it really is the reality in Taiwan. I was getting sick one day, and the next day I stayed in bed the whole day, didn't eat anything. That's how sick I felt. I had no appetite. Then the next day I went to the emergency room. They said, how do you have, no, excuse me. I went to the emergency room and they said, you have so they examined me and they said, okay, you have bronchitis. Okay, here's your treatment. And okay, now we're going to discharge you and here are your prescriptions. The whole thing cost me $200. That's right. $200. Okay. And look, there are a lot of ways to do this. There are a lot of ways to give everybody healthcare. For example, in Taiwan, there's only one health insurance plan, and your only choice is to opt into it or to have no health insurance at all. So it's partially funded by the government, and I think some of the personal taxes you pay, and you have to pay some of the fees up front also, but it is affordable. So when you're at the hospital or at the point of purchase, you pay a little bit. The rest is covered by government, meaning taxes that you've paid and taxes that everyone and everything else has paid. The government says, every year we're going to spend this much on military, this much on healthcare, this much on education, this much on fixing the potholes in the streets, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, now that's one system, which is different from the French system, as I understand it correctly, which is there are several private health insurance companies which you buy into, which I think you pay every month, but the government also subsidizes the rest. Okay, which is different from what they do in England, which is the National Health Service, the NHS, which is completely free or almost completely free. You don't pay anything. Now, I mentioned all the countries, those countries before: Canada, England, France, Germany, Scandinavia, Japan, and Taiwan. Not all of their healthcare systems are identical, but the result is that everybody can afford healthcare. Healthcare is affordable. By contrast, in the United States, people, they don't go to the hospital, they don't get in the ambulance, they don't go to the emergency room, even when they're sick, because they know they cannot afford it. And the number one reason why Americans go bankrupt, and this was before COVID, the number one reason why Americans go bankrupt is because of healthcare costs. The number one reason why Americans lose their homes are healthcare costs. There are other things going on, but again, we just don't have this is considered normal in those other countries I keep mentioning. No guns, everybody having healthcare. That's normal. In America, the opposite is normal, which is lots of guns and no healthcare. Makes no sense. Okay, richest country in the world, we can't provide healthcare for everyone. All right, let's talk about so check out that terrific video. Let's talk about, and so now moving on, let's talk about the Middle East a little bit. Just, we destroyed Libya. Libya was the richest country in Africa, and we destroyed Libya. We're still dropping bombs, using drones in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Syria. We're giving weapons to Saudi Arabia so that they can bomb Yemen. They're committing genocide in Yemen. I know this girl, I won't say her name, but she says she wants to go to Yemen. You know who I'm talking about. And she's watching. I know she's watching. She does. You know who you are. You know who I'm talking about. And but anyway, the United States has been doing this since the early 90s, and we keep blindly supporting Israel, even though Israel is occupying all of Palestine, and we keep blindly supporting Israel anyway. And so and just briefly, for those of us who don't know, I'll just briefly summarize the Israel situation. So after World War II, we have the horror of the Holocaust, and then so a lot of people, and it wasn't unanimous. The world was literally divided. When the UN voted to create Israel, a Jewish homeland for Jews, they were tied. And at the time, one country cast the deciding vote, and it was Guatemala, the country where I was born. Funny enough. So anyway, so Israel was created. The idea was, look, Jews need their own country so that the horrors of Nazism does not repeat. Okay, because Nazism it didn't just come out of nowhere. There was Jews have always been oppressed. They were oppressed in the Roman Empire, before that in the Greek Empire, before that in the Egyptian Empire. Okay. Here's the problem. They drew Israel's borders. Okay. They drew the border with Israel. Okay, what's the problem? The problem is 75,000 Palestinians were already living there in this new country called Israel. Okay. Look, we can talk about who got there first, when they got there. The Bible says that they got there first. Oh, okay. We can talk about that. But the point is, there are 75,000 Palestinians living in this new country, Israel. What did Israel do? Deported them all. Deported them. Now, and the United Nations and Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch, they have all said for years, okay, ever since Israel was founded, the Palestinians who were deported have the right of return. And Israel has consistently denied them the right to return. And not only that, but then I think it was in the 67 war. And then in 67, Israel attacked their neighbors first and attacked Palestine first and has occupied Palestine ever since. Okay? And you might say, oh, Israel's a small country. They're surrounded by their enemies. Look, at the time, Mossad, which is Israel's CIA, and the CIA, they told Nixon, they told him, look, Israel's neighbors are no match for Israel's military. They're the best in the world because we equip them. Our military is the best in the world, and we train them. Okay? But Israel attacked first, and that is a fact. And what you will hear is you will hear people say, no, Andres, what happened was the Arab states, they told the Arabs living in Israel to leave because we're going to attack Israel. So some people will say Israel knew they were going to be attacked first. So before getting attacked first, they attacked first. Yeah, you know what? There is no evidence that the Arab states told Arabs living in Israel, get out, we're going to attack first. No evidence of that whatsoever. None whatsoever. Okay? So one thing America can stop doing right now is, and this gets back to Black Lives Matter, is to stop having these professional exchanges between the local police departments in American cities and the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, the Israeli military, okay? Because the IDF is a military and police are police. police are police, military is military. Two totally different things. Okay, they don't need to cooperate. And Israel does not need any more financial help, any more money or military help from the United States. Israel is not a poor country anymore. They've already got a great military. They don't need help from anybody. And let's not forget Norman Finkelstein. He's written many books on Israel and Palestine. I think it's fair to say that he's an expert. He lost his job at a university for speaking out against Israel in America. And there was a reporter on CNN, I forget his name. He works for Al Jazeera now, but he said Palestine will be free from the river to the sea. And you know what? He doesn't work at CNN anymore. And there are some governments in the United States, like city governments, state governments, before you work for them, you have to sign an Israel loyalty oath, which means I will not say anything bad about Israel. Sign it, or they won't hire you. So that's Israel. Now, and here's the thing. When you criticize Israel before, definitely in the 90s, people will say, oh, you're a Nazi, you're anti-Semitic. That's not working anymore. I don't think. I hope not. Because young people, including young Israelis and young Jews all over the world, they're not blindly supporting Israel anymore. They're not supporting Israel anymore when they bomb Palestine, and then when they don't even let food into Palestine, which sometimes they do at these various checkpoints. And let's be clear, Israel has expanded its borders. It's built settlements, which are colonies in Palestine, where only Israeli citizens can live. And I think some, more specifically, only Jews can live. This, so what's the solution? Well, the solution is to go back to the pre-67 borders and for Palestine to be recognized as a country, and for Israel to be recognized as a country. Excuse me, it already is recognized as a country. But the problem then that Israel has is the demographics, because there are lots of Palestinians who are already living in Israel right now. And if Israel is going to be a democracy, well, a democracy is for everybody. It can't be for Jews only or for one group only. So that might be the end of the Jewish state if Israel embraces democracy, as I just said, meaning going back to the 67 borders and becoming a democracy, and Palestine to be recognized as a country. Palestine, really doesn't even need to be doesn't even need to have a seat at the UN to be a de facto their own country. But that's getting into the details. So in a nutshell, Israel needs to go back to the 67 borders. Okay. And we're running out of time, so let's get back to, well, I guess we're not really running out of time. I don't know what the rules are for streams on YouTube. I like to keep mine at just an hour. But okay, so now we've reached our last story about MLK or Martin Luther King Jr. or Dr. King, because we are in the Dr. King weekend in the United States. And one thing, and I want to say about Dr. King is that he had that famous "I Have a Dream" speech, where he said, and I'm paraphrasing, I want my children to be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Okay, now what has happened is that this has changed from what he said, which is judge by character, not skin color. That has turned into color blindness. I don't see colors. I just see people. I shouldn't say it in a whiny voice because that's people will find that disrespectful, but that's how much it annoys me. Okay, so people will say, I don't see colors. I just see people. That's what Dr. King said. No, that is not what he said. Dr. King did not say uh, be colorblind. Dr. King did not say ignore my children's skin color. He said judge people by their character. That is not the same as being colorblind. That is not the same as saying, I don't see colors, I just see people. That is not the same. And there is not a single King scholar that I know of, or a single Black history professor, or a single Black studies professor that I know of who will tell you, yes, King wants you to be colorblind. King wants you to not see colors and just see people. That is not what he said. And and you know what? Darn, I have to get off camera for a second because just to prove a point. Hold on a second. Oh, puta! Oh, shoot.